All right. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Steve Fletcher, and I'm here with Ken Potter, and we've decided to do a joint program this morning to kind of bring our own understanding to what we're watching for. The new moon is still not been spotted in Israel yet, and so we're waiting on that, which would mark the beginning of the Feast of Trumpets. And there's just so many things happening right now, and we just want to kind of bring everything together. How are you doing this morning, Ken?
I am great, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I'm doing great, and I'm really looking forward to this time to be able to share. And
Amen.
what I had planned. Let me do a screen share here.
Okay.
And what I was looking at. Okay, we're looking at the difference between the uh, the Torah calendar. Okay,
Mhm.
the Torah calendar shows that the Feast of Trumpets begins on September 8th, which is tonight, right? Okay. And the Hebrew calendar shows it's September 6th through the 8th. Yet, according to this report, which, we're seeing right now, those that want to investigate this and see about this, the new moon of the seventh month has not been spotted yet. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And that's the traditional way of celebrating Feast of Trumpets. It seems like there's other sources like Hebcal or just Google searching Feast of Trumpets that are starting it before the moon is even technically new, which is when you can't see anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got a situation here where my perspective is I want to keep everybody focused on what where we really are, help everybody to see that we're entering now. Okay, we're right now entering the highest watch time. Well, many people are saying the Feast of Trumpets is already over. They haven't even seen the new moon yet,
Hmm.
and so this is a very concerning piece of information, and this is part of the reason I wanted to do this with Brother Ken, so we could talk about this together and show the people here that this is not the perspective of just one man. With witnesses, where there are two or three witnesses, let all matter be established. So we just want to bring our perspective to this. So this report here from Paleo Times shows 8th September, the seventh new moon was visible from Australia on 8th September and a few locations in the United States on September 7th, likely to be visible in a few hours in Jerusalem.
Right. And Jerusalem, that's the one that I would think counts.
Yes,
Hmm.
exactly. So
Right.
this is what we are hoping for. At this time, we see the reports that have been shown so far. We do have reports from no reports from the United States yesterday, but we do have reports September 8th from Australia. They're already basically in September 9th now, but it's a different time frame. And so
Hmm.
Jerusalem, there's been no reports.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that I obviously there's a lot of discussion going around about whether or not this is the right month or whether it's next month. Um, I first of all, when we hear things like the prophecies from the rabbis, who was the one? Was it wasn't Kaduri? Was it who had the prophecy about standing at the door at Rosh Hashanah itself? Um, those when we
Was
lean
that
on that,
was that Shoshani?
maybe. Yes, I can't remember right now. Somebody it was a pretty significant prophecy about how he said about how at Rosh Hashanah itself in the eve of the year, was it last year or the year before? At the eve of the year, Rosh Hashanah itself, how the Messiah is at the door. Um, when they say those, I don't. I mean, which month are they recognizing? And I always think of the story of Ruth, right? When Ruth was a foreshadow of us, the Gentile bride of Christ. I don't think Ruth showed up at the wedding and then started telling everybody, all the Jews, everything they were doing wrong, and try to correct everything. And I think a lot of people on our side are kind of eager to do that. I mean, just because the Jews have been supernaturally blinded as to who the Messiah was until the fullness of the Gentiles comes in, Romans 11:25, that doesn't mean that they don't know what they're talking about on everything. And as far as the way their calendar works, it's not an easy thing to figure out. And that's why I haven't heard anybody have a really concise explanation as to why they're wrong and when somebody else is right. I was going to do a video today, and I probably still will today. I got a clip from Chuck Missler from when he talked about how, the different calendars came about in 701 BC. That was the long day of Joshua. Before then, it was super easy because it was exactly 360 days in a year, which is where we get 360 degrees in a circle. And it was exactly 12 months, exactly 30 days per month, the lunar cycle. So the moon and the sun were almost like the minute hand and the hour hand on a clock. They were always, they always synced up just right. But then in 701 BC, something happened that changed everything whenever the sun stood still for Joshua. And ever since then, we've got like 365 and a quarter days in a year and about 29 and a half days in a lunar cycle. So a lot of different cultures come up with a lot of different calendars to deal with that. And it was King Hezekiah who implemented this system where they stick with a lunar cycle. They go new moon to new moon every month, but then two or three every year, and every 2 or 3 years or so, they add a 13th month. And it ends up being like 7 times out of 19 in order for it to work out. So it's not an easy thing, and it's something that it's been the Jews' job to study this and do this for a long time. And I think that some people on our end seem to kind of have an itchy trigger finger when it comes to, oh yeah, Jews are wrong, it's blah blah blah, and they don't even know why. And it's not an easy thing to figure out. So
Yeah, and then we have like I went back and I did the history of how many times since 1945 the year has begun before the spring equinox, which is the big deal with everybody. The year can't start before the spring equinox. Well, the Jews don't go by that. 16 times since 1945, the year has started before the spring equinox. And then like this year, for example, the upcoming solar eclipse is on Hanukkah. If we change
mhm,
the calendar, then that's not on Hanukkah,
mhm,
and then all of the day counts from the Revelation 12 sign that took us to the day of to Resurrection Day brought
mhm,
us right to Pentecost.
right.
That doesn't line up either. So if we change the calendar and then we go back and think about all the tetrads over the years, all the signs that came 2014, 2015,
Mhm,
that came right on Passover, Tabernacle. If we want to change the calendar in 2021, then we need to rewrite history, going back to the beginning of time and show why the Jewish history is incorrect based on all of these new calculate. It's so easy to say 2021, this is the new calendar. All right, well,
mhm.
let's write the book, rewrite history, and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Right. Well, I'm not claiming to know. I kind of, again, I lean on the typology of Ruth. I'm part of the bride marrying into the Jewish family, and I kind of lean on them to have a lot of these details. Now, if God is calling me to dig in and learn something, and maybe he isn't, then I'll do my best. But I certainly lean on wisdom from other watchmen such as yourself, and and that's been the format and I've always approached is I just try to hash through what different people are saying and try to figure out what makes the most sense, and then present what we find to the family who I trust is smart enough to sift through the details, and hopefully we can guide them in the right way.
Well, we're what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I
Thank you.
was going to do here, let me do a screen share again. And what we are watching then, as we're talking about the signs of, as we're talking about the date itself of the Feast of Trumpets, the other thing we have to consider is what are the signs saying? And so
Yes.
I've got a list of signs that are very let's say time sensitive to where we are right now, that apply to the Feast of Trumpets. They're here now. The signs are here now. These signs are not going to be in October. They are right now. And there's a list of these. There's a list of these that I want to just share. Uh, and so the first thing I want to do here is I want to talk about all of the sun activity that's happening right now.
Hmm.
Okay. All
Yes.
of this sun activity that is happening right now, this began, I think, I don't know, around the middle of August, August 20th, August 23rd. There were a couple solar flares that started. And then we have a series now of 6, 7, 8, or 9 different sunspots. And I've been documenting this, okay? And the first thing that came out about all of this was the number 2860, as we were watching, the bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and the bridegroom being, from the sun, and then 2860 meaning bridegroom. And we've got all of these sunspots that have rapture themes.
Hmm.
Plus, there are like major activity. I mean, we have huge sunspots that are turning toward Earth.
Hmm.
2866 means terror, and it's a huge sunspot that has grown like larger than Jupiter on the face of the sun. We have
Wow.
a CME inbound right now that I documented last night. CME inbound set to hit planet Earth on September 10th. We don't know how big it is,
Hmm.
but it looks to be pretty big on the graph. So we've got all of these signs in the sun, and the Luke 21:25 says there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring.
Hmm.
So this is one aspect. All of this is happening right now, and depending on where it's going, is this showing us right now, or will this continue? Will there still be all of this activity going into October? What is going to be happening? I think this is applicable to right now, what we're watching. This is an urgent warning. All of these signs are like kind of an urgent warning leading us to right where we are right now, Feast of Trumpets on the Jewish calendar. This is one aspect. What do you think about all of this information, Ken?
Well, it's absolutely amazing, and it definitely seems to be pointing to here and now for sure. And I think it would be foolish to just guess that, well, this guy said October, so maybe I'll just think about October. If that turns out to be the case, then fine, start watching again then. But I mean, I don't want to be caught not watching, not looking, not expecting. Um, when that trumpet sounds, and of course, most of us won't. You hear it, but still, it's our job to pray continually that you're kind of worthy to escape, and to know when to look up. Lift your heads, look up. Your redemption draws nigh. We are at that time, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next slide here is information I shared last night, and this has to do with I was checking because the same site that I use, and I get information off of different videos that are coming through, and then I go to spaceweather.com and I confirm what's happening on the sun activity and the solar flares, and I confirm that, and then I share the information based on what other people are sharing and seeing, and then also what the report is showing. And so they on that same site, spaceweather.com, they have the list of incoming near Earth approaches of
Mhm.
asteroids and other activity, space activity. And so a few days ago, none of these were showing up. But now we've got 3 near Earth close approaches less than a half of a lunar distance, which is very
Wow.
close. As far as
Yes.
astronomical terms, it's very close. And there's
Hmm.
3 of them, 2 today, one has already passed, one later on. Well, I think both of these have already passed since I did this video and then went to bed and slept. But then
Hmm.
there's one at midnight tonight. at UTC time at 44 minutes after midnight. The one is a half a lunar distance, one is a third lunar distance, and then the other is almost a half of a lunar distance. In astronomical terms, this is very, very close. It's a a close shot. It's a risk. It's a high risk. That's why these are in red. This site
Yeah.
here. Now, I just wanted to point out, according to the actual new moon, according to the Torah calendar, which seems to me to be doing the best job of really trying to calculate the exact day of the true day based on the new moon sighting, not just based on a preset. That's the problem that the Hebrew calendar may run into, is it's a preset calendar. They're not actually looking at the new moon of this month and when is the new moon of this next month. I mean, it's just kind of preset. Well,
Right.
the Torah calendar is actually looking at the new moon. So tonight, the new moon in Israel coincides with these three close approaches. I mean, this is a warning shot. If these don't hit, this is an absolute higher warning than we've seen in other close approaches. Because
Yeah.
normally close approaches, 1 lunar distance, 2 lunar distances, 3 lunar distances, 3 at one time, all within a half of a lunar distance is a big deal.
Yes. Yeah. And that which column is the lunar distance? The one that's the 0.05? And
Yes.
okay, so that one's really close.
Well,
0.05.
they're all three of these.
Oh
One is
yeah.
0.05. This is 0.03.
Yeah.
0.3
0.3.
is a
Yes.
third of a distance to the moon. I mean,
Hmm.
so if the moon is what 240, it's 100. It's only 120,000.
Yes.
I don't know how it's all read, but anyway, it's a third of the distance to the moon. So anyway, that is a piece of information. The next piece of information has to do with a 7.0 earthquake that was last night.
Hmm.
Okay. Now we've been talking about the power of seven, the Feast of
Yep.
Trumpets. We've got the sign of the seven from the cows in 2014, leading us to the exact day, the first of Tishri on the Hebrew calendar is September 7th. Okay. So we've
Yes.
got these two cows with number 7. We've got September 7. We've got this 7.0 earthquake on September 7th.
Hmm.
Now, the importance of this earthquake, I shared a video on my channel by MRMBB333, Mr. MB333,
Hmm.
and he showed how the seismographs at Yellowstone went off with this earthquake.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was
That's pretty
felt,
far.
I didn't feel it where I'm in Yucatan, Mexico.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
didn't feel it, but the seismographs in Yucatan felt it. The
Hmm.
seismographs at Yellowstone felt it. There's a tsunami warning with this. There was. I don't know what ended up happening with that. I haven't checked on that.
Hmm.
But all of this connected to the 7th of September, Feast of Trumpets, the two cows. And then I did a big video. The other thing that I shared is that from May 15th, which was the order to the rebirth of Israel that happened
Hmm.
on the 14th of May was actually midnight. So if it goes over from May 14th to May 15th.
Hmm.
May 15th to Labor Day, September 6, 2021 is
Hmm.
26,777 days.
Wow.
Okay, so I mean we're right here in the time frame where God is speaking 7777777.
Yeah.
And I think this is also another deal that's pointing us to where we are right now. What do you think about that?
That's truly remarkable. It is yeah, that's not a coincidence. All those sevens, the 7.0, and of course those cows with the sevens on their head is just amazing that they were within 5 days like that of each other. Um, yeah, 7 years ago. So
Yep.
it's just like you said, it's just coming in like an avalanche. All these signs. I mean, we've been following signs like this for years, and and every it seemed like every little sign becomes for those of us who are watching a big deal. But now you can't even keep up. They're just
You know,
yeah, they're, yeah.
I do the best I can to keep up.
I know you're doing a great job.
I do it 7, 8 videos a day, and I still can't keep up.
And
But
yeah,
here's this other piece that came out yesterday, and I don't know how we can overlook this. Uh, in world first, okay, Cuba starts COVID-19 shots for toddlers.
yeah, that's so disturbing. I just can't stand to look at it. You know, it's so bothersome. You know, when you think about, you know, how you know, Jesus's attitude towards the children, and how much longer can this go? To let this garbage keep happening and keep getting worse like this. It's just so sickening.
Yeah, I shared about this a couple months ago. I actually got blocked based on probably the title I put on the video. I didn't mask it enough, but
Yeah.
but you know, the thought that I've had, and a lot of people had, is that you know, once they come for the kids, there's got to be a sign, you know. And I don't think there's a coincidence that this is coming out. This report, this came from the Times of Israel. This
Mm-hmm.
report I found, it's September 7th. The report came out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Feast of Trumpets. You want a sign on the Feast of Trumpets? I don't think there's a bigger sign. This they are beginning with the toddlers. Okay, this is the first time anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter if it's Cuba or wherever it is. I mean, this is the beginning of this process. It came out in the Times of Israel, and the whole prophecy about the dragon is his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, did cast them to the earth. The dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And so part of that whole prophecy, and the way I've looked at it is this, it's got to be connected with when they come for the children, he's going to be coming for us. And that's what I shared yesterday about this report.
Yeah, that's an excellent connection. Yeah, because that's what he does. The dragon is waiting for that child to be born, and yeah, coming for the children. It's so heinous. um, but yeah, I don't know what else to add to that, except you, it has to be. It's got to be soon.
It's timely. It's timely, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think, I mean, you know, the enemy knows that when the restrainer is out of his way, that's, you know, the clock is ticking, and he's just pushing everything. He's like a horse, just can't wait to jump out of the gate on getting all this in place and all this done as rapidly as possible. And he may be jumping the gun a little bit. That's what Yaku speculated, that he's overplaying the hand and jumping the gun here. Um, but yeah, I think if he knows when it's going to happen, he sure is showing it to us that he's ready. He's ready for that restrainer to be out of the way, and then it's going to get even worse real fast.
Okay, and then just real quick here, you know, we don't want to be long today on this report, but real quick, let's just go over the situation in Virgo today to the September 11th.
Hmm.
Today we have, okay, one of the big questions is about the sun being in at the feet of Leo.
Right.
But the other thing that I've kind of brought to everybody's attention is that the new moon is actually in Virgo. And then we have Venus in the position of the birthing event, just like Jupiter was in 2017.
Right.
And so the whole prophecy is about the woman who's clothed the sun,
Hmm.
the moon at her feet, and giving birth. Okay. I did this comparison as far as October goes, and there's no birth sign. In October, the sun is down here, the moon is here, but Venus is now over in Libra in October, and Mars and Mercury are not in that position. So right now we have the sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus together with the moon all in Virgo right now. If we go forward one day, we're going to see the moon go up a little bit here. Then we're going to go to September 10th. And we're going to go to September 11th. And between September 10th and September 11th could be the full completion of that Revelation 12 sign when the moon is under her feet. Now, if we're looking at the exact day of the new moon sighting, okay, which is September 8th, and then we look at this, September 8th, and we've got one day, September 9th to 10th. Let's see, September 8th, September 9th, September 10th. And then if we go to midnight, I'm not on Stellarium. These are screenshots, so I can't go forward an hour or whatever. But if we go forward to midnight, we might be looking at right here, Friday to Saturday, this time frame of the moon being under her feet exactly on September 11th. Now the big program, everything.
And that's the Sabbath too.
It's the Sabbath, and the big program that they've they've had for years is the September 11th, and then the whole thing with Afghanistan now. Everything that's happening right now with Afghanistan, from the very first shot of them taking over the airport, was the big plane with 9/11 on it.
Right. Yep, I saw that. You had that.
1109, right? Big plane with 1109, and then it's the 20-year anniversary, and the whole thing started at 9/11 to Afghanistan. Now we're leaving Afghanistan, and big 9/11 again, and so there's just so much here, right here, and I don't think personally, I don't think it's wise to look beyond all of the signs we're seeing, to look beyond the Hebrew calendar, to look beyond 9/11. I mean, we've got September 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, just it remains super high watch in my book.
Absolutely. And then there's also is it Luke 12 or 13 with the 4 years with the fig tree, where the 4th year you dung the tree, and it's been 4 years since the Revelation 12 sign. So there's that as well. And then, like we said, the fact that now, according to Torah calendar, if they do sight it, the new moon, which will be within an hour as we speak, the sun setting in Jerusalem now. If they do, then that would end at the exact moment that the Sabbath begins, which is Friday at sunset. Exactly. If they don't, which they might not, if they don't see it, sometimes weather or whatever could make people not see it. Then it goes another day, in which case the day 2 of it would begin and end at the beginning end of the Sabbath as well. So still, I think that either way, I think that has to be significant also.
I think that is very significant actually to what we're really watching. The fact that in Jerusalem, they're still waiting for that new moon sighting tonight. So we still have that 48-hour period that we need to wait for. Brings us right to between September 10th and September 11th.
Yes. Very exciting for sure.
Okay, just a couple more shots here that I wanted to share. Okay. The other thing I shared is how the Feast of Trumpets, we talked about the Great American Eclipse from 2014 to 2024, 2017 to 2024, and the middle day was this December 14th eclipse, where the vaccinations began. And then if you go from the December 14th eclipse, which was Hanukkah, to December 4th in 2021, which is Hanukkah, you've got this June 10th middle day. So you got X marks the spot, X marks the spot. And then if you go from June 10th to December 4th, the exact middle day is the Feast of Trumpets.
Wow.
Okay, so I mean, we're at a 177-day cycle here between June 10th and December 4th. 88 days puts you right here. Either way, 88, okay, 88, September 8th, 8, I mean, we just, whether it's a 7 or an 8, I mean, we've got this time frame of the 7th and the 8th, the 9th, 10th. We've got this X that's being made here. The other thing I wanted to share, just go over, and I found this to be a very significant sign. Jesus Christ came when there was a census being taken in Israel. This was the
Yes.
big news just a couple days ago. Israel's population stands at over 9.3 million on Rosh Hashanah Eve. This was a
Mm-hmm.
live report that I was watching. They were updating it as they were taking the statistics. The
Mm-hmm.
census was happening on the Feast of Trumpets. If Jesus was born on the Feast of Trumpets, right? And,
Yes.
and there was a census when Jesus was born, and now we have
Mm-hmm.
a census being taken on the Feast of Trumpets. I found that to be
Right.
very interesting.
And that's another thing, Steve. The, the a lot of the people that are saying the Feast of Trumpets is in October this year would also acknowledge that Jesus was born on Feast of Trumpets, which would have been September 11th, 3 BC. A lot of people hold to that. And wouldn't that stand to reason then that it would also be the same time of year this time if the new moon is right around September 11th again?
And Venus is the one
Mm-hmm.
okay, that represents the bright morning star, and Venus is in the birth position.
Yes.
Okay, September 11th is exactly where this is all going to, which corresponds with what everybody holds. How can the Feast of Trumpets, and that's, I mean, go right there. All of the people that have said Jesus was born on the Feast of Trumpets, September 11th.
Yes. 3 BC.
Hey,
Yes.
that was before the fall equinox. What about that? Maybe we should go back and change that calendar and have him born on October 11th, because that does not fit. See, I don't know how we can calculate 1 year and take 1 year above all of the other years and just say this is more important, or I don't understand. I don't understand. I think it's a lot of confusion myself.
It is a lot of confusion. It's a complicated puzzle.
Sorry.
That's okay. Another thing that just came to mind is, and I had a little video on it, and that was the Ken Peters prophecy.
Mhm.
At the beginning of the Ken Peters prophecy, he said he was just as soon as he fell asleep, that's when he heard the horn. That's when he heard the start of the tribulation. And then Ken Peters fell asleep, passed away on August, was it 14th, I think? But his I don't remember, but his memorial service is going to be on September
September.
11th.
Hey, September 11th.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about that. I know you shared about that, and that's another piece. I haven't followed Ken Peters too much, and so I didn't share about that on my channel. But I know that his testimony has been worldwide.
Yeah, well, that his
Absolutely.
vision of the tribulation was extremely powerful, and I have
Mhm.
like a 9 minute overview of it, and show some different ways that his that it definitely indicated a pre-trib rapture, even though in that he later then said he didn't see a rapture, but he there was clear indications that it must have happened, and that's what that video that I have on my channel is. So that and very compelling. And then he saw things like he saw the $100 bill, the way it looks now. And that testimony he gave was in, I think it was like early 2000s, before the new $100 bill came out. So there was definitely things that pretty much seemed to prove that it was legitimate. Um, but
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's another piece of the puzzle, and then we've got this story that came out yesterday, and I just had to share this. Um, Highly likely that Palestinian prison escapees crossed into Jordan, and so they're escaping from Israel and they're going to Jordan, and the whole story of Petra and
Mm-hmm.
the Israel escaping into Petra during the tribulation, the story coming out right on the Feast of Trumpets,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole story with the actual prison itself. I didn't share this in the video, but I looked at it later. I was thinking about doing a follow-up video, but I've had too many signs. I've been trying to follow. It's just too much. But the prison itself was Gilboa. It's a Gilboa prison.
Mm-hmm.
And Gilboa is the exact location. Mount Gilboa is where Saul died.
Oh,
Now, Saul died on Mount Gilboa. And what happened after that? David became king.
right.
So Mount Gilboa is connected to the coming of David, which Jesus is the son of David. So this
Yes.
is also another connection. Not only the escape into Jordan, the escape to Petra, but it's the connection of the coming of David through the location of the prison.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. And the last piece of information here that I have is the fact that since the FDA authorization of the vaccination on August 23rd, okay,
Hmm.
I began sharing, and then I shared a piece of information about the coming passports. And then I was blocked for 7 days. I was off YouTube for 7 days, had to start a backup channel,
Hmm.
but I got all of this information out. Okay. As soon as they uh, authorized the vaccine, mandatory, no opt out option, mandatory vaccines for all military. They started showing videos from France and Australia, no shoppers allowed who are unvaccinated. Okay, this
Wow.
is happening in different locations already. People in the United States say, well, if it doesn't happen here, it's not happening. Well, open your eyes, people. You got the world to look at. We've got
Hmm.
all of these signs worldwide. And then I've shared these 2 videos off of my channel. I've done what I could to share the links to these videos done by Leland Jones on his Rumble account. He's
Hmm.
shown they actually surgically removed the microchip that was in the vaccine.
Wow.
Okay. They have proved that it's shown, it shows on a QR code. You
Hmm.
put your QR code up to the where you've been vaccinated, and it shows up there. And it is a Bluetooth enabled microchip. So it picks it up. If you have a Bluetooth, it'll register it as a device. That means they can be tracking you based on what's already in. This is not something that's coming. It's already in there. Okay. So
Yep.
this, I mean, for those who are still kind of in that limbo state of is this or not, you know, the thing, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I think at a minimum, it's a lot of the ingredients
Mm.
are in it already. Yeah.
So what do you think, Ken? What do you think about where we are, this time frame?
I think this is it. I mean, I think he's got to be at the door. It's um, we have to be looking up. Now's the time to lift your heads, look up. Your redemption draws nigh. That's what we were told to do, and I believe now's the time to do it. And the absolute worst case scenario is that, it'll be maybe another month, but I highly doubt it. If it is, it is. But it's definitely safer to to be expecting now than kicking the can.
So yeah, I guess my summary of everything is, let's keep watch. We're here September 8th. They're still expecting the new moon sighting tonight.
Yep.
We do have the 2 days from the new moon. So we're at least until September 8th, 9th, 10th. The moon is under her feet between September 10th and September 11th. I would say let's keep high watch September 8th through September 11th and just see how it all plays out, see what continues to transpire. And I will continue to give my reports from my channel.
And I'll be watching them. And
Okay.
so God bless you, brother. Let's hang in there. We're gonna go soon.
All right. Well, thanks
All
so
right.
much for meeting with me, and have a wonderful day, Ken. And God bless everybody.
Thank you, Steve. God bless
All right.
everybody.
All
Love
right.
you all. Okay. Bye bye.